Hello, this is the second podcast for the Piña. I'm Alexander Norton, and I'm here with my friend Sam. How are we doing?
I'm alright. I feel a lot of pressure all of a sudden.
Really?
I feel like the weight of an entire viewing, listening audience rather than just being you and me all of a sudden.
Well, it's alright, because what happens is we're going to do this, and it's gone. So you have no idea what's even happening.
That's magical.
So I think what's good to do is talk actually about how we know each other. Firstly, the first time that we actually and why we came into contact, and that'd be quite a good.
Were you already there whenever am I right talking?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, no worries.
Were you already there whenever I came back from Reading in Cardiff?
From Reading?
Or did I leave and come back? Do you remember?
You were going to Reading. I know you were going to Reading, but I don't know why.
So it was, we were working on I was doing a shambolic. I was doing a art, but I was the first artist in a series of, like, an ongoing installation with a series of I don't know how you describe it.
Okay, ongoing exhibitions in Reading.
No, in Cardiff. I'm talking about Overhead Map.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So I was the first, and then there were a couple of other people that made art after I'd made a first piece out of what I'd made in something called an Overhead Map of Now with a friend of ours called Sophie. And then you were the third or fourth artist. So just one day you appeared in my life.
Yeah.
Came and slept in the gallery with me and Sophie because we had nowhere else to go.
I
remember we met at the artist breakfast.
Yes. Yeah.
And you just got the prints.
I remember that really because I was so nervous because I didn't know I was like, I don't know anything about this exhibition. I don't know. All I know is Sophie, and I went to see it. Oh, looks very professional. I don't know what to go. And then I was so nervous. Hello, I'm Alex. Nice to meet you. I was really freaking out. And then when I went to the show, then I started to relax a bit. And what happened? Was it a week? I think it was a week long.
I'm not sure.
I was there for a week, I think. I missed the final show. But in that time, I felt like it was almost never looked back, really. It was just like, oh, right.
It was on that first evening we said the biggest heart-to-heart. We just spoke for about... Sophie and I interviewed every artist that was there. And we just got into the topic of love and spoke. And it was light outside. And by the time we finished the conversation, it was so dark that the camera wasn't picking up any image anymore.
Oh, really?
We spoke for like 2 hours straight.
Was that with Sophie there as well? I remember that. Do you still have that footage?
Yeah, somewhere. I'd be able to, not with me, it's on a hard drive up north, but...
That's the first time I'd ever mentioned those ideas to anybody as well, on sort of anything like that, so... And
then, we went, partied, had a few laughs.
Yeah.
You found that post office hat.
To give it back as well. I had to send it back. I had to send it back by DPD, which was so bleak. Like sending a post office hat back via DPD, which is horrible.
What's DPD?
It's like what is it? DPD is the people at courier service that we use.
I'm trying your trick.
Yeah, he's my little 10-8. Okay, yeah. So basically,
and then we've probably seen each other 6 or 7 times since. You come to London. I came to Brighton once. This is my second time. But
it feels like I've known you for like 5 years. You know, I mean,
yes,
even longer.
No, at lunchtime today you said it was 2 or 3 years.
No, I assumed it was, but it's only been a year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is kind of insane, but that's good. That's good. It means that, like, obviously that there's, and I think a lot of ideas do overlap. And obviously we discussed this earlier, but we both kind of ride on the idea of like personal projects, but also personal thoughts and feelings. What I find most fascinating is our skill sets are so different. So you cover whatever I can't cover, you seem to cover, and then vice versa. So together our work actually completes this perfect circle because technically we cover everything, which I find quite fascinating. Which is why I think the idea of collaboration would be really interesting.
Yeah, you just said that literally a minute or two ago. I'm not sure what form that would take. It'd be really, really exciting. I'm not sure whether it would be something that we both, because obviously neither of us have worked actively together. Whether it would be something where we both worked on the same theme or the same topic and saw what the other person, and then in the end saw what the other person did, and just came together to show the work.
Yeah.
Or whether we actively worked together to bring out something in each other.
I quite like the idea if we both start something new, completely new, but we have a similar idea. Let's say it has to be about some feeling or something like that, and then we just work towards that. And then I go away, you go away, we come back. We don't really have any correspondence. Put it together and then see how it works. That could be really interesting. We could do that. Maybe. But I mean, and that's kind of like, I mean, I'm kind of curious, like, to discuss more in depth about the reasons why you make work. So, what motivates you? Because obviously, I'm curious to how those might overlap as well.
Like, I think it's been very gradual and not really conscious. So, thinking back, when I was a kid, I got obsessed with dinosaurs and made dinosaur films. When I was like 4 or 5, and then wanted to be a filmmaker, and then got into skating and wanted to make skate videos, and then got into music and wanted to make music videos, and then got into film, and like throughout school was doing lots of writing for competitions and winning them, even though I genuinely was just doing whatever I felt like. I was never really trying anything, and doing quite a lot of drawing when I think back to it as well. But then never thinking about the writing or drawing, just wanting to be a director and not really knowing what a director exactly was. And then when I went to uni, made a few films and met a girl called Kat on my second film who got me into doing light art. And then in the space of like 6 months, I did loads and loads of light art with her, and then did Over Map of Now, and that's when I realised what actually counts as an artist is just someone that makes it.
Yeah.
And that whole complaint that people say of, oh, I could have done that, is exactly what now I'm feeling is exciting, is like, art's easy, it's doing it that's difficult, and like, art is the easiest thing, and all you have to do is not even be honest, be fucking dishonest, do whatever you want, but it's just, and realising that everything I ever want to say can be put into art, and art can change people's minds, I guess.
But also, everyone can do art. You don't need to be trained, really, because all you need to do is pick up a camera, pick up a piece of pen and paper, write a thought down. But I think the role of an artist isn't down to the skills that we have, or the skill sets that we use to paint our ideas. It's actually having the knowledge to know, right, in this instance, I need to use film, or I need to use music. And being an artist is actually something that you're born with, but it's something that you need to do. And I think that's kind of what we're quite interested in.
I think both you and I are people that...
Good. I'm checking the light. It's going to go bad.
Because the TV turned off, so the light will change. I wouldn't necessarily agree that you're born an artist necessarily, but I think I was reading yesterday. Down and Out in Paris and London by George Orwell. And in the introduction, he spoke about how he was born knowing he wanted to be a writer, but it wasn't until he was 24 that he actually sat down and tried to do it. But he was looking to be a writer the whole time. And so I do agree, because I think I've had that, and I think you've probably had that. But I think some people, like I didn't realise that I was an artist. I thought I wanted to be a filmmaker. I wouldn't have even made the connection that filmmaking is art until quite a lot later.
I think it's even just little things though. When I was younger, I used to make Mr. Men books. And I always just started projects, but I never finished anything.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing. Even when I was like 23, I never finished anything because I was just too excited to start the next thing. But I realised I've always been making stuff. Whether I was conscious of what I was making was a different thing. But university taught me that I could actually make whatever I wanted, and that was quite exciting. But then I think you realise that you're an artist later, when you understand what an artist is and what it does, but I think you are born with that need and urge to do it.
Or maybe like natural draw.
Yeah.
Because I think all kids do like to draw. Well, most kids, not literally all kids. Most kids seem to enjoy the silliness of what art is. Like I would say when a kid does painting, it is art. It's just a different type of art to other things. It's not that it's better or worse.
Yeah.
But I do agree that there's a way of looking at the world that seems to be quite artistic, like the things that both you and I fixate on and drive our art probably partially because. So I don't know. I don't really like making generalizations, but if you're driven by money, or if you're driven by social power, or if you're driven by, I mean, those are negative examples. I'm trying to think of a positive example. Charity. If you're driven by charity, you look at the world in a certain way. So when you walk down the street, so today I walked past loads of homeless people. I think there's loads in Brighton.
There's loads, yeah.
And what I was noticing was like smiles, the things that they'd made. A guy had these bracelets and just a sign that said free with bracelets that you could take if you wanted. And that's what I was noticing. Whereas if you were charity, if you were driven by charity, you'd be thinking about how to help them. Or if you were thinking about money, you might think about ways in which you could change economic systems. Like, I'm not even going to pretend to understand all of that, but the way that I look at that situation, I think, is inherently artistic. So I guess, yeah, there's that, but I don't know when it starts. Like the chicken and the egg, or the like. Have you seen High Fidelity, or have you read High Fidelity?
I've got a funny story about High Fidelity. It's got John Cusack, isn't it?
Yeah.
We were watching High Fidelity, and my friend was like, "Let's watch High Fidelity." I was like, "All right." And then he said, "No, actually, let's watch Slapstick, the hockey film."
I don't know what that is.
It's a really rubbish hockey film, basically awful. Like, and I remember watching it like, "Oh right, this is nothing I expected High Fidelity to be." Watching this really bad hockey film, and I was just like, "Oh right, okay." And I realised that I haven't seen High Fidelity, but I thought I had watched it.
I've had a similar experience where I got back from a night out, and me and a friend decided to put on High Fidelity, and we watched it, and it felt like it was the longest, like we were in a really bad state, and it felt like the longest film ever. And I was getting really, really panicky just because of the headspace that I was in at that point, that I didn't understand what he was saying. Like, I just didn't know why he was talking the way he was talking, and I didn't know why it was taking so long. And I turned to my friend, and he was just like, "I'm really scared. I don't know what's up with this movie, man. Like, I've seen it 2 or 3 times, and it's not the way it usually is." And I was like, "Yeah, me too. It's really slow. And the talking's funny." And he's like, "Yeah." And then we looked, and we put it on mute, and we got 5 minutes in, and it felt like an eternity. And we'd been watching the film on mute, and we were so wasted that we didn't even realise there was no sound.
Oh right.
Like,
the whole time the film was on?
Yeah, the whole film. Well, we only got 5 minutes in.
Oh right.
But it was like the longest 5 minutes of my life. Because I thought that I was going crazy because he didn't say anything and he thought the same. But anyway, the reason I brought that up was the first, or one of the first lines in High Fidelity is, do I listen to pop music because I'm miserable, or am I miserable because I listen to pop music?
Okay.
And it's that kind of like, I'm not sure where it starts, where looking at the world because in an artistic way because you're naturally artistic, or whether you start to realise that, I don't know how to phrase it properly. But I'm just not sure entirely for people born artists, but...
Well, I think, like, it's not something, obviously it's nurturing, isn't it? It's not like, you have to nurture it.
No, but born wanting to be an artist, or born drawn to it, or whatever as well. Like, it doesn't just happen, well, sometimes it happens by accident, but like...
Well, yeah, I think it's also the environment you're raised in as well. Something I was quite curious, you just mentioned about you watched the film with no sound. I'm quite curious because you use sound a lot in your videos, and The Colour and the Kids uses different narratives from different people saying things, and that's the first thing I noticed. This is that kind of like instantly, it's a whole different format. It's very much like the similar idea to some of the music I was making. It's like it doesn't really fit a category. You kind of made your own category. And that's what keeps it engaging, and that's what makes it exciting to watch. But I was quite curious actually to know a bit more about how you started to work with that style, because the way I see it when I look at your visuals and the way you put stuff together, it feels very like a diary. And obviously, yeah, I'm quite curious what you think about that.
I think there's a few different elements. One is that I definitely spend more time thinking and listening to music than I would think about films and watch films. And whenever I started making video, when I first got editing software, what I did, because I didn't really have any friends and I didn't make my own videos when I was a teenager, but I wanted to learn how to edit. So what I would do is get films and I didn't know how to download movies or anything at that point. So what I would actually do is stick a camera at the TV screen and film the entire film, and then I would make a trailer out of the movie, and they would end up being these weird music video trailer things. And what I was doing was using music I liked and sounds from the film, kind of like the Ronex sound thing, like editing the sound of something else and making it your own piece of work. And then, I don't know, the first film I made had a rave sequence in it, and it's really sound based. And then, just kind of realizing that, like I said about how there's that really annoying argument of art shit because I could have done it. And if you just take film down to its most plain, pure, like basic level, all it is sound and image, and the image doesn't even need to move, and there doesn't even need to be an image, and the sound doesn't even, like, it can be silent. It could be a black screen and silent, and you need a good argument for that to be a good piece of video.
It needs to have some kind of reason.
I think the fact that that's all it is sound and image, and the fact that we have this completely set idea of what a narrative film is, where it's got a beginning, a middle, and an end, characters that you like because they have similar quirks to you, and because they're sad because of the same things you're sad about, and blah, 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 blah. It's all really good, and I really enjoy those films, but there's such a set of rules, and not only, whenever people talk about films that are different, they talk about films that are narratively different most of the time, so they'll think about... I don't know, I mean, a really obvious example everyone will have seen is Pulp Fiction. It's told completely out of order for an emotional effect. So at the end, John Travolta's still alive and he's cool, even though actually you know he gets killed. For example, have you seen that film?
I've seen bits of it.
Oh no, I've spoiled Pulp Fiction.
It's alright, I to be honest, I don't really remember much.
It's really good, you should watch Pulp Fiction. So, that being considered abstract, but actually it's still a film with scenes, characters talking, you like them because they listen to the same music as you and eat the same food as you, and talk about girls and about boys and about drugs and whatever, the way that you and your friends do. But if you just keep on stripping away, all it is a sound and an image put together, and that's all the film is. And I then just kind of... It was before I discovered Derek Jarman, I found out about him as a filmmaker after I'd made a film called Letter to Memphis, which was what I then turned into a video art installation in Cardiff. I saw parts of it as well. So it was kind of before I'd seen what Derek Jarman was doing, which is exactly that. So he's got this film and it's 90 minutes long, and the screen is blue the entire time, and you can just hear him describing... I haven't seen it for ages. Describing becoming blind and only being able to see the colour blue because he's got AIDS, I think. I'm not entirely sure because it was A-levels when I saw it last. But that counts as a film. And so, and that wasn't my motivation. Mine was just, if you just have someone talking and contrast that with images, that is still a film. And so it was just kind of like a natural progression of what made sense, because it's all you have to do is get people to read something. Get other people to be in a video. You don't have to film it in a formal manner, and it is still a film. And so that's where I think we got that kind of, like with the colours and the kids, it's a mixture of formal and informal in the way that we did that. But that's how we got to the kind of very disjointed mix of use of sound and image. For a single effect, I think, anyway.
I mean, it's really interesting how it kind of stemmed from a necessity, or basically a technicality that you couldn't get past, so you found another way of doing it, which actually formed your whole style. And I think that's quite reflective of a lot of the ideas that you have are very raw, and I think that's exciting because it's like I remember listening to C16.
No, of him. I've not really ever listened to him before, though.
Yeah, he did a song called Dog. What was it? Dog Album Music or something like that. It was something like that, and he recorded it. It was just very, very bad recording. And I remember when he got like a record deal on the third album in, and he had the proper sounds. I couldn't get into it. I didn't like it, and that's what we were talking about earlier about technology. you say like a lot of the cameras that you use are very lo-fi, but when you're shooting them, you use them completely differently, and you're not doing it in a way that's like obvious. When you're using it as your, if anything, actually, you're using them in an obvious way, but you're acutely aware of how to use it, how you have to use that realness, and I think that's what happens because they're like they're like old family footage videos. So then obviously you combine the two, which is exciting because obviously then it all blends into one. But yeah. I mean, that's something that I found most interesting when I was looking at a lot of the first videos you did.
Yeah. Well, I think that it was kind of like a happy accident that I then definitely deliberately started doing. So with Colours and the Kids, it wasn't an accident at all actually. So with Colours and the Kids, I had 3 different time periods. So I had Super 8 footage, which is actually of my mother as this person when they're a child, and then like a mobile phone footage for the present experience of a funeral.
Okay.
And then I used a red one for this kind of dreamy story being told. And so like Super 8 is past, mobile phone is present, and then something that's a fantasy in your head would be cinema, like shot traditionally, and But then I deliberately blurred and started using Super 8, shooting Super 8 footage, as well as the red, and cutting between the 2 or 3 of, I think we had 7 or 8 cameras. And that was just in terms of a timeline that I was using it then. But now I'm starting to realise that the amount of different reasons why shooting just with one camera seems silly for what I'm trying to do at the moment is, like, if I get my phone out and start filming you on a night out, you don't change the way you act.
Yeah. But if you
you think you're being filmed by a camera, whereas if I get a huge fucking
Yeah.
cinema camera on a shoulder rig with two other people that have to make it work properly, or else it'll be really rubbish.
Yeah.
That suddenly means you've got 3 people watching you and having to hold the camera, and it can only... I mean, the one that we were using, they've got better, but the red one is really heavy, so they can't really film for more than 10 minutes at a time.
And they overheat.
And they overheat and turn off, and the amount... I was on a film shoot that happened really so much, like 7 or 8 times a day they would overheat.
Yeah.
And then you just have to sit and wait for 30 minutes. But, so there's the practical side of the way that it affects people, the way that people act. So, because at the moment what I've been working on is a documentary about kind of reality and reality and memory and this reality, but just like human relationships and honesty. There's no real performances in the film, it's just the way that the whole film is actually just like what Nan Goldin book, what she was saying is that no one ever thought about the fact she was taking photographs, it just happened.
Yeah.
She was never setting them up, but she was never taking a photo shoot with her friends while they were shooting up or hanging out or whatever.
It just happened.
It just happened, and that's like a really helpful practical side of using all the cameras. But the other is, I think, it's kind of, there's an inbuilt, I mean, people call it retro or vintage or whatever, but I think it's more a very specific nostalgia. Like VHS looks like the 90s, which is our childhood. Super 8 looks like, like the 60s to the 80s, which is our parents' childhood. And for us, that's old footage. That's like our parents' wedding videos, or like holiday video of whatever, or and early mobile phone footage looks like when we were teenagers. That's what it makes us. That's what it sparks in our mind. It's like, oh, that's whenever I was like 13 and I got my first phone and 2-megapixel camera.
The VGA.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then it progresses, and so the iPhone footage now still looks so distinctly iPhone, and it makes us think of now and the present, and in the future we'll think of it and go, oh, that was like
we could look back at iPhone
2016
footage
parties.
that was really old footage back then.
And so I think it's really important to take that on. So like, obviously, like being informed by music videos and making music videos, I made a video that was shot a lot on with L, shot on VHS because the band's vibe is like 90s girl rock sort of thing. And that was a deliberate stylistic thing. But I think it's got a lot more than just being style. Like, if someone like Matt DeMarco is making a videotape music video and it's just meant to be 90s and cool because that's what kind of is cool at the moment, for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of because, and actually I suppose it does go hand in hand. It's cool, 90s music and 90s kids television, 90s cereal that's in the shop and stuff is all because that's when we were kids and we have this nostalgia. And I think that's what I've been trying to tap into is the way we feel about childhood and the way that our parents feel about their childhood and the fact that they were bringing us up when we were children. And that's what I've been dealing with a lot in the past year with what I've been making, but also, I mean, it's just got so many practicalities, like I've been saying. So, like, the fact that people have changed over the act, this nostalgia stylistically, I think it looks great. Like, you don't need to light something if you're shooting it on VHS.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're shooting on a red, you really need to think about it because you can tell because it's 6K.
It's I mean, it's
absurd.
I mean, obviously, I think a lot of these things do tie with photography as well, and it's something that I've been more and more passionate about. Is actually the iPhone. There's one here, and it's just basically like it's always there. And right now, I could just do a video, and there it's taken me 3 seconds.
My phone's been full of memory for so long that I've not taken a single picture for about 6 months on it.
I've had the same thing.
Yeah.
I've had the same. So right now I'm filming, and that's like, there you go.
But it's absurd that we can do that.
That's now, and I can send that to anyone I want. That's nothing impressive as well.
Who was it talking
to?
I was yesterday at work. I was talking to this girl that was saying that she couldn't remember when smoking was legal in public.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And she's just 2 or 3 years younger than me. And but the fact that I just think it's really interesting that someone who I consider an equal. And you start rolling a cigarette when I mentioned that.
It's just the way it is.
Moment that, I think we're at a really interesting point in time where it changes so much. Like, my parents, I think, had 4 years difference between them. And apart from music they listened to and where they were from, like cameras or clothes and stuff were based on, like, I don't know, exterior forces of fashion rather than what you could get your hands on. Whereas now, I'm not sure exactly what my point is, just that it changes a lot, like really fast, that within a year or two, people's memory of the world, I suppose the internet, and...
Well, I think the internet was such a... I mean, can you imagine if our parents had the internet, how different their lives would have been?
Oh my god.
I mean, if you just look at parents using Facebook these days, I find it really bizarre that I mean, obviously,
how they use Facebook as well.
Yeah, and it's like completely different how, because I use. It's actually quite interesting to talk about actually, because like
I'm gonna somehow find a way of blocking my mum or dad from seeing this on Facebook.
Well, that's I guess I think, and yeah, I mean, I have thought about making my own sort of own Facebook because I realise that we do live in a different generation.
Your own Facebook?
Oh, like a different one, but then adding just the people that I like, just like, so I can put this for this particular Facebook, maybe have like 60 people.
Yeah.
And then having exclusively stuff.
That's what Eleanor Hardwick does. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that.
It's alright.
But she's got she's got a separate Instagram account, which is just for herself rather than for. Well,
I mean, it's a similar
just
thing.
Because it means that she can just put what she wants and know that the people that follow her like that, but it's not part of a public persona. I think that.
My friend Harold has done something similar. I won't say what the name is, just because again it's a similar idea, and there's something very sacred about that, because social media is. We start social media, don't we? Going, let's add as many people as we can. And before we know it, we've got 500 people. We don't know who they are, and they're all seeing what you're doing. They're all up there. They all know what you're up to.
I agree in a sense, but people definitely don't. Really? I don't know when the last time I posted pictures on Facebook today, but like it was the first time in a few months.
Yeah.
And like I never post statuses. You do? I don't. Like I don't use Facebook for that. I add everyone that I meet that I think that's the art thing. Like, so I added someone because they were interested in illustration a few days ago, and I added. I can't remember. I think about that much. But like, I accept Facebook requests from everyone that's not spam,
Okay.
as well.
Oh, right, okay.
Like everybody that would add me on Facebook because, well, two people actually. First one was, so I added Sophie so I could tag her in a photo I took at club night a few years ago, and then Sophie and me, Sophie being the person that got me and Alex both to be artists in this installation, and that's how we know each other.
Mm-hmm.
Sophie then saw a video I uploaded, a trailer for the first film I'd made, and then asked me. We were complete strangers and didn't know each other, and there was one photo I took, but we'd literally not spoken. I think because we had a mutual friend, and she was like, "Get a picture of me," so I just took a picture of Sophie and Chloe. And that, having each other on Facebook, even though we didn't know each other, but knew that we were in the right circles, Chloe is a really good mutual friend to mean that in the future it's worth having a friendship with that person. And that happened just because, and then the exact opposite thing happened with Katie, the girl I did the light art for, who was in Colours and the Kids, where I added her because I wanted to cast her in the film.
Okay,
and she declined. And then I added her again. She declined.
Declined the Facebook request.
And I added her, because I'd never met her.
Yeah.
And I added her. I'd already sent a message, but it obviously went into the other box or whatever. Just saying, "Hi, I'm making a film. I'm not a creep. Just like, all I want is for you to read the script. If you're really not interested, I'm not going to pressure you at all, but just read the script. It'd be great." And then I added her again, and she just replied like, "Fuck off! I don't know you. You're a creep." And I said, "Look at my message. You mustn't have read it. I'm not a creep." And then she was really apologetic, and so. Both because I have had a positive outcome from having someone on Facebook that I didn't know, and it was only 3 days hassle, and it all worked out in the end. But like the other side of it, I don't really have anything on Facebook that I'm not that like all the photos that I upload on Facebook or on my website as well.
Yeah.
I don't say anything on Facebook publicly because I don't. The same way as I don't use Twitter even though I have an account because I don't. And then I suppose doing a podcast that's going to go on YouTube is the exact opposite of what I'm saying. But I don't feel like.
But I know what you mean. You know, I mean, I'm the opposite, and that's why I feel like I have to create my own one to have almost like a community of people that I know will appreciate my thoughts.
Yeah.
And not have, but basically, I have this obsession with making everything public. And maybe it's a self-defense mechanism. Maybe if everyone knows everything about me, then they've got nothing to use against me. Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, or you've got nothing to hide. There's nothing that someone can pick out.
No one can go,
no
right.
one can make something public of yours if you've already made it public.
Because I've already done it, so well, I'm alright with it. There it goes, if you're okay with it. And obviously, it goes very much to the what we were talking about before, and I used Facebook for that. So a little bit of background information, because I probably will be covering this a little bit in this, because it's very prominent at the moment. But it's basically an idea of cross-dressing and how that has some kind of effect on your mental state as you're growing up, and that was very much quite a big struggle when I was growing up when I was younger, because I didn't really know what it was all about. And then I put a big status up on Facebook, which some of you watching may have seen, or people you didn't know. If you don't know who I am, then obviously you may be able to see it. But it was quite interesting, that process, because you put something that I thought I'd take the grave to me, and I'll never tell anyone ever about it. But it just spills out, and you have to. But you don't have to. That's the thing. My dad said, "Why do you have to put it on Facebook?" It's bad. I don't think he would have understood, but I had to, because I was literally sat here right now, and I was just sat there like, I need to do something about it. So I put it up there, played FIFA for about 6 hours, looked back again, and I saw about 121
likes. 6 hours of just like love.
And I was just like, and I literally looked at it. I was just like, oh my god! And I was just like, it's over.
Yeah.
The hell is over, because it's hell, because you go through so many.
And I suppose maybe the reason why I don't post on Facebook is because I've not. I mean, I said the same sort of thing. It's like I only post things on Facebook I want people to see, but there's nothing. I'm not hiding anything. The only stuff I don't put on Facebook is because I want it to be sacred's kind of a cheesy word, but like there's pictures of you and of Sophie and of Katie, but loads and loads and loads of people that I don't put on Facebook just because I took them and I like them, and for me and for those people, and I've shown pictures to people, and I haven't shown pictures to people. But like, I don't know, like I also don't feel particularly comfortable like publicising an opinion of things that I have no say in.
Yeah.
Like, so let's not talk about EU. Let's talk about
But I mean, that's an interesting example because because I went overboard in that, but I think that was because I was so worried about what was going to happen, and I got into quite a bit of trouble with not trouble, but I really I had to take a step back.
Yeah, you keep on going. Sorry.
No, carry on because I finished what I was saying. I had to take a step back because basically I realised that I had been so passionate and so upset about the situation. In my head, I was like, I need to put this out publicly because otherwise I'll just be sat in my room going crazy.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I guess the difference maybe I would feel is that I don't think other people posting on Facebook affect me.
Yeah.
And therefore I don't think I'm... There's no one on Facebook that I don't speak to in person that I would influence, and I'd rather speak to them in person.
Yeah, completely.
That sounds like I want to manipulate, and it's not that. More like, all I want is for someone to see my side of it. And I don't even want that, that's why I don't post. But if there is someone who I want to talk about a topic with, I would talk to them. And I don't think I have like an audience or a fan base on Facebook. I don't feel like I would reach strangers by posting. Like I spoke about EU with loads of people in person, like loads of people, but I didn't ever post because
you've had
I didn't feel there was anyone else to talk to about it, especially because anyone that I didn't talk to about it that I would was already going to vote the same thing, which is maybe like that's why I don't know. It's like preaching to the.
Well, it's I think I mean we won't be touching much on this, but it's how I feel about the Labour Party. And we're not going to talk about politics, but it's the only time we'll be this. I think that all of the Labour Party are doing are just talking to the people that have already been converted. And they've got that base, but they're not talking to the other people. Because they're not convincing other people on that. They're just saying, well, you believe what I believe, so we're going to keep on giving you stuff.
Yeah.
But you're only going to get 30% of that because only 30% still believe it.
I mean, I have a particularly strong opinion on the Labour Party, but I mean, it's very clear how other parties or ideologies are preaching to people that didn't already know it through the news, through the way that certain things are reported and which things are chosen to be reported in, and then in that way. I think it's very clear that certain parties are Labour or I don't know. It was more an example of this. Because obviously it's not a political debate, so. But I think about talking to people, more about talking to people is. I don't really see. Maybe veganism is a more comfortable topic that I feel passionately, but I don't have deliberately never posted on Facebook. Big thing about how I feel about veganism because I don't think anyone that's not a vegan is going to like that.
Yeah,
and it's not going to affect them.
Yeah. So it's kind of
like they're going to just read it and be like, "Oh, Sam disagrees with me. Sam thinks I'm a dick. I think Sam's a dick because of this." Whatever. They're going to think that I'm being antagonistic. Whereas if I do what I think is the right thing to do and act the way I think is the right way to act, and have conversations in person with people, and I think maybe the more important thing is to let other people bring up the question, like ask the questions. I think that's just. I think quite a bit more respectful and is more likely to influence, or at least that's the way I'm influenced.
Yeah.
If someone's different to me and they shove it down my throat, and I'm not saying that's what you're doing because you talk about what you say, you don't say you're wrong. There is a difference, so I'm not accusing you at all. But
I felt that I have been the opposite end of the very bad end of the spectrum recently, and I've had to take a step back.
Well, I mean, I don't know because I'm just going to agree with you. So whenever I've been reading them, I'm like. But I just don't think that shoving certain things down people's throat.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel exactly the same now.
I don't think that's going to influence in a positive way. Yeah. Ironically, can very easily influence in a negative way. Either it bites you in the ass and people start disagreeing with you and going, "Hey, vegans are pricks, vegans are antagonistic, vegans are patronising." We just stick to that topic because it's easy to talk about.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas, I don't know, we was talking about how to influence and manipulate people. Or not manipulate, how to change people's opinions on things.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because when I did that, I had an instinctual reaction, and this is the way that I see my Facebook wall. And obviously, I'm not really talking about a company here. I'm talking about more the idea of sharing. It could be anything like a MySpace or a Bebo wall. Before we use those.
See, I'm so invested in Facebook because whenever I first was allowed internet, my dad blocked so many websites, and Facebook wasn't big with my friends or in Yorkshire at that time. I don't know, but Bebo and MySpace were, and my dad blocked Bebo and MySpace, but Facebook. He didn't have Facebook,
Okay.
so I got on Facebook way too early. So if you look on, I shouldn't say this. If you look at the very end of my Facebook, the earliest posts are like 12 or 13-year-old Sam being cringy child.
Really?
Yeah, like really, really embarrassing now.
I know.
But I don't want to delete them because they're kind of cute. But like,
it's a memory, isn't it? I mean, yeah, no, it's definitely interesting because I use my Facebook wall as just more reminder notes. So if if I've listened to a song I particularly like, but I'm at work and I haven't really got time to do it, I'll just post it on my wall and then refer to it later. And what I do sometimes, I did one. I was like, I think I said I want to make music. I'll try and find it actually. It says I want to make music that explains my. I'll find it. I've probably posted quite a lot.
saving what? What was that?
Ainsley Harriott, spicing Ryan's Privates. I also do that. It's and also I share links.
I share links sometimes.
And the Jan Cornetto. And I've used to promote artists as well.
You know, I've shown your Facebook page to my friends. I've just been like, I wish this was a page, not a friend, so that then you could just follow him because you don't know him. But yeah,
just get them to add me. Like, I mean, why not? Like, well, I put a status here saying bless Ryan Giggs because he just retired.
Who's Ryan Giggs?
Famous footballer, played for United. Well, he's Welsh. He's the most
Manchester
famous.
United.
Yeah.
Got a lot of Ainsley Harriott stuff.
So like No Man's Land, for example, I just put that up, and one like, one comment. It very much is a lot of it is Ainsley Harriott, but I try and find the one I'm thinking of. It's mostly just Ben Gore stuff. My friend Ben Gore, who I did a podcast with before. I've got a lot of time for. Oh, this is quite interesting. So, for example, like I said, just a note. I'll post all thoughts I have on this site, which is a medium. It's just like a way you could just put stuff. If you're keen to read anything, go ahead. Nothing from this point of the topic will be discussed over Facebook from me. It's just easy that way. And feel free to follow if you're interested. No one liked it, no one followed it, so I'm guessing. I'm guessing, obviously, then that's fine. But for me, like this one, for example, I thought it made perfect sense when I was reading it, but no one looked at it and no one seemed to like it, and that's quite nice actually, because it made me realise that maybe people don't care so much.
I think, in the least offensive way, not caring is probably the biggest thing on Facebook.
This is the one. I want to verbalise my soul with piano music. Tell people what's going on inside. Sounds mental, but I believe it. I reckon. So obviously, and again, no one responded to that. But
I do read your Facebook, you know.
Yeah.
It's one of the few that I do. How do you get into your years? You know how it used to be, the years of the time?
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. It was interesting what you said about that, because obviously you add lots of people just so you can kind of get in touch with people, and I've done the same thing. People that I'm curious about, I've just added, and they always seem to accept it. And then at some point down the line, I've just sent them a message saying, I really love your work, I think it's really interesting. And then I've had this dialogue with them, and then you either get closer to them, or you don't, or you do get close to them, but you don't get close to them, and it's really interesting. It's in the rocket. Oh, no way. That was a long time
Remember that video?
Yeah, I remember that.
Sorry, I shouldn't be doing this.
No.
I just want to find the,
the
12-year-old
one.
son. Oh, there it is. There's the years. All the way back to 2005.
Oh, my God.
No. Oh, that's when I moved to Halifax, apparently.
It is interesting. I mean, I don't agree with Facebook. I don't think we should have it.
Sam Boullier is going to stay in tonight. Sam Boullier is wondering where all the snow is. is worried about his lines tomorrow. Oh, that's when I was at play. 2008, I was 14. I was the most uncool. I was the most uncool 14-year-old of all time.
Sam Boullier is bored.
No, is going to school. Ugh. Is listening to Joy Division. Why am I awake? What time is that?
That's pretty deep though. Why am I? Well, it doesn't sound deep, but.
Thought Dead Set was okay. Is watching Arrested Development. It's back. Sam Boullier is back.
Where have you gone,
I was sick on the bus. I remember that day. Oh man, I vomited everywhere on this bus. This Bow Chicka Wow Wow is doing his Macbeth essays. There's nothing interesting to say.
Killed the president of Canada before. How have you been? This is brilliant.
It's shaken, not stirred. Doesn't feel great. It's hungry. Has bought Decalogue at last. He's just poked himself in the eye. Ow. Has pulled a muscle.
It's the first use of Facebook.
Hey man, I don't think I still got it actually. No, I do.
It is
It's now.
fascinating.
Skip that. That's some dark history right there.
It's quite fascinating, obviously that idea, but I'm very curious about how this ties to our own sort of practice and like I think artists now are very different, and we were talking about Ellie Harbert before, and how I wonder whether an artist like that would have happened before the age of the internet. Because I think it's so unintentionally influenced by culture and consumption.
Well, it depends on which part, or whether you're talking about consumption on the artist's part or consumption on the audience's part.
I think it's on the audience's part, because that's what I've noticed most, is that there's an aura about her work, and that's something that I've been very fascinated with, and accidentally meeting her anyway. And then I didn't realise who she was, and then when I saw it, I was like, whoa. Instantly, I met her before I realised what she did. I think you just introduced her as someone who's doing illustrations for your play, and then so we had a chat about that. But then I realised all the other stuff she did, and it makes me wonder if I would have been scared to speak to her. I would have been scared to speak to her if I knew who she was. Which is fascinating, isn't it?
Are you scared when you meet artists? I suppose you said you were nervous of them now.
Not really, no. I mean, not with artists, because I feel most comfortable with artists. Like, because I realise I can talk about everything that's going on, and I know that when I talk to you, I know you'll be able to feed something back. And that's why doing these kind of podcasts is really exciting for me, because I realise that for me, like I like it because I feel like I can kind of lead a conversation, but also guide people through what I already know. Because obviously, what we're talking about at the moment is a lot of stuff I already know, but obviously everyone else doesn't know, or maybe doesn't know to some degree, unless they know you. Lots of knowing, I think that's really interesting for me. And that's what Lapina's always been about. And Lapina's always been about commentary, but above all, discussion. And so, I may be going off topic here, but maybe we can go to a different area. But what I found most frustrating is that I would put an article out, and it would be as opinionated as ever, like very much like my Facebook post. And then, no one would comment. People would like. Sometimes they would share. But they wouldn't.
What, on Facebook or on the website?
I think it was over the Facebook groups, and I think maybe it was just like I was frustrated. Maybe I was just like, I've made this specifically for people to discuss, and I think that's the biggest failure of it, is that people haven't discussed it because maybe I haven't put it in the right environment. But I think so. But by doing a podcast, you kind of bring it into your own hands, and you make the discussion. And if people they can say something to you after, I enjoyed that podcast or something like that, or that was interesting what you said there. But then I realised all this stuff that we're doing isn't for anyone else. it doesn't matter who perceives it and who looks at it. It's just, at least the way I see it is I'm making it for me. Because I need to understand what's going on with me and obviously on the world around me, either politically, socially, personally, with myself. And that's why I make work. And that's what the music is about. Again, I'm not making I could make really popular music if I put my mind to it, and it'll be really catchy and jingly and everyone would sing along to it. But for me, that's not why I would make music. Because I'm not a musician. I'm just a bloke with a keyboard. I'm just guessing. I've got ideas, but I'm not a musician, and I'll put my hands up and say I'm not. But it's another strand to what my work can be. But it all comes from me, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously that was obviously a bit of a detour on that, but I do think the way that we use social media is quite interesting and how that influences our work and how we then do that. But I think also detracts from our own lives. And I think that's the biggest problem with social media is that we're looking at a screen all day. We go to work, screen, phone, screen, wake up, screen, watch film, screen. We're never away from screens. And I think that's the biggest shame because although we feel connected, we've never felt so alone. And that's the thing for me that's worrying with today's generation. If we obviously use it the way that maybe I've used it too much, and I think I've done it too much, but I kind of like that I've sacrificed quite a bit because I understand myself quite a lot now as a result. But obviously that was a bit of a tangent. But I mean, something I really wanted to look at and discuss is your poetry, but also your the play, because I think a lot of your play that you've been making links to your video work and your ideas and your
the plays in the book, the
book play illustration slash
thing
harmony.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I think you based one of the characters on. Oh no, did you?
So,
or was it visually?
I mean, oh no, I wrote it ages ago. So it's you're me. You know, we're talking about watching the film. It's like that's the voice of this person, but they've got the face of this person and that and the other. Well, your face is my life.
Yeah.
In the book, like
Yeah.
So I wrote it when I was 19, 3 years ago, about a relationship of sorts that I was in with the girl, and about I grew up in Yorkshire, which felt very isolated from everything I wanted to do at the time. I feel differently about that now, but growing up I didn't really feel like it was. I felt very isolated from actually being able to make films, and I think that's social as well as environmental, because now that I'm old, well, it wasn't Yorkshire, but it was my life then, and I was in a relationship. I had a sister that was the little sister character is called Aoife, and my little sister's called Aoife.
Oh, okay.
So that's literally, and the pictures are of her.
Oh, okay.
So the narrative, and then in the narrative, there's an absent mother and a father with dementia, which neither of which are things that happened to me. But my grandmother had dementia, and I just moved away from home.
Okay, yeah.
So it was about the feeling of not having a parent and dealing with dementia and knock-on effect of basically responsibilities. So the plot of the book is this guy Harmony he's like 20 or so. He's got a little sister that's 6 or 7. And his dad's got dementia and his mum's not around, and he lives in a desert town. The desert town being the most obvious way of visually, narratively expressing my isolation.
It epitomises loneliness, and also isolation, obviously. Yeah.
And then his best friend is getting married, and at the wedding he meets a girl, but she's not from around there, and so it's all about being held back by your roots, but also that being what's built you, etc., etc., etc. And so that's the narrative of the book, which is based on a screenplay I wrote. Hence I don't really know what it is, and it'll be more of an art book than a graphic novel. But the way that it's being put together is I rewrote the screenplay into, I mean, it's still in screenplay format, but split up into chapters, and each chapter is being done by a different artist. You being one of them, and because each artist is by different artists, we have reference images. So the reference images are of people I know or of actors. So the protagonist, which is based on my life, the images of Alex, and yeah, I don't know, the fact that it feels very communal and the characters have been chosen. Oh, it's going to be so emotional when the book's finished.
Well, it's interesting because I've had real trouble because I'm struggling to, I don't know what to do with it just yet, and that's why I have been I'm late on it, is because I really want to do it justice, and also I've been drifting in and out of illustration very quickly, and when we first had a look at it, when I first made these, I was in the heat of illustration, but now a lot of it has changed. But and also I've changed a lot as well. Like, so I think I was just thinking as you're describing it, I find that quite interesting that if I'm going to be drawing myself, it's almost a good time for me to start now, because I can draw from these. I can draw from the way I see myself now, as opposed to how I felt 6 months. No, even longer now. It was a year ago, wasn't it?
It's like 7 or 8 months, yeah.
Yeah. So I think I can just launch into it really. So obviously here I drew for myself, but obviously I don't really feel like that now. I feel like I'm different, but these were a bit. I don't really like these personally. I think I put these up, but it's interesting. Like, this was my new. This is what I've got so far. But then again, I still don't know if I want to go ahead with these. I feel like
That one's great. I really like that one.
That one.
He looks like such a douchebag, and the character is a douchebag. The audience is like, not that character, not those.
Well, because that's me, but I based that on when I had a shitty mustache and it was really awful. But that's how I based it on that. But like for example, this one, I've got the CPR machine man. He's been personified. So I was very fascinated with those ideas, and then I realised this is how I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
This is how I wanted to illustrate it, but I felt that I'd lost my magic with illustration, and I knew it had gone because I was pursuing other things. So I was like, right, I need to start this back up again when I'm back in that golden moment again, because otherwise I'm not going to give what is a story that I know is important to you. And as you said, you're not in a hurry to produce it, only when it's finished. And that's like a lot of ideas. You say you've been working on something new recently for the past 6 months, and that's quite interesting. That I've been working on stuff for ages, and sometimes I like, and it's interesting that to wrap projects up is really difficult.
Yeah, it's really strange because, well, for me anyway, it's really dependent on the project, and I say that, but it's a lie. Like, I guess the only things that have felt finished that I've ever made are music videos in my first short film. So a music video, you have to have it finished. You send it to the people, they put it on whatever.
It's got a purpose.
It's got,
an end.
Exactly. And the first short film was part of my film course, and at a certain point I thought that's not as good as it's going to get. Like, it could still do with colour grade, etc., from someone that really knows how to do it. But it's finished, whereas then both Colours in the Kids and Letters to Memphis, my two following films, Letters to Memphis became an art installation and is now part of a different film I'm working on, and Colours in the Kids is as well. And there's different versions, like 7 or 8 different versions of those films. So I don't think they're ever really finished. They're just released. That's what I kind of think of with, but it is different with a book, for example, because you have to release it.
Yeah.
Like kind of once, and then you can rewrite it and whatever. But it's a bit different with this one. But what was your initial point? I was saying I don't really. finishing things, wrapping things up,
Yeah,
and things being finished.
I think that's the
I always
hardest
find
thing.
it's quite scary because you've got to just say, yeah, it's done. And it's exciting as well because it means you've suddenly got so much of your brain and your time.
Physically.
Whenever you're like, fuck, okay, this film is finished, I'm never gonna creatively think about it again. Like, I'm gonna keep on, like, hopefully getting it screened and showing it to people and talking to people about it and learning from it, and then the next film will hopefully be different. Not better, different. Like, I don't really think of, I try not to compare things, I think it's quite dangerous, but like...
I think it devalues the work you've been putting in. I mean, I think you can do it when you're 13, 14, 15 because you're learning. But there comes a point, let's say 18, 19, maybe 21 arguably, depends what rate you're going at, where you reach a point where everything from this point is worth archiving. And that's how we build our websites, I suppose, as well. And that's where we say, well, 6 years ago I did this project. It's still to the standard that I would be wanting to make work, but my ideas have evolved. And that's very much like my project. I did a project called Nothing's Happening, and it was, everyone said at the time, this is your best project, and I said, because it isn't to do with you. And then I kind of was just like, well, that's fair enough, but I feel really disconnected from this project, and I'm not getting anything out of it. I've successfully achieved an aesthetic, but that didn't really achieve anything. And I took a picture of a pineapple, and that was the logo for Piña. And basically, Piña is Spanish, obviously, for a pineapple, but it's a metaphor for photography today, and art today, and how it's consumable and edible and beautiful and pretty, something that we can just shove in our mouths and enjoy, but not actually get anything from. And that was my biggest problem with photography.
You know, pineapples are quite unhealthy as well.
Are they?
Yeah.
Especially when you take the skin off. That's going to be really dangerous. And have you ever tried to eat one whole, just like a...
I've never tried to eat a pineapple whole. Have you? Is that you talking from experience? I can't imagine you eating a pineapple ever.
I'm just joking.
No, I mean,
it would be funny though, wouldn't it? Oh. Got, like,
I've seen someone microwave an orange and eat it whole with the skin on. Or eating kiwis with the skin on.
I can't have kiwis because my dad's allergic, so I'm scared of them.
My mum's allergic and I love them. One of my most eaten fruits.
Okay. Well, now we've covered the most eaten fruits. That's the
one of them.
Yeah.
Actually, probably they are the most eaten fruit. Kiwis.
Well, I mean,
probably not good for the environment, but they're cheap.
It's a bit of a side note, but what you should do is you should eat grapes and raspberries together.
It's like kiwi. A fake kiwi.
No,
Is that what you're getting at?
No. What happens is, what you do is you have a grape, and then you put, let's say you get 3 grapes and 2 raspberries. Put them in your mouth. Don't crunch them. Crunch one grape. Crunch a bit of raspberry. Then the grape induces with the raspberry to create this beautiful taste, and then it's just like literally.
Should we have some for breakfast?
Yeah. I mean, I've got them at work, so that's how I do it because it's expensive. But another thing, actually, if you want a dessert that's got nothing at all on it, nothing bad, get a banana, cut it up, get raspberries, put it in a bowl and microwave it for 2 minutes. The best thing ever. What happens is it creates a custard because the banana induces the raspberry, melts into that, and then the raspberry, as a result, melts into that, and you just have this. You just eat
I can picture you just sat watching the microwave.
What my friend Elizabeth gave it to me one day, and I was just like, oh my god, because I've stopped eating chocolate.
You can get frozen raspberries, way cheaper, like a big box, like a pound.
Yeah. That's
Fruit's expensive, man.
It's really, it's expensive. I mean, I wouldn't eat half as much fruit if you didn't give it to us at work.
It's good that you get it at work.
Yeah,
it's really good.
£25 budget, which is quite nice. I used to be on the fruit run, but I have to do my job instead. It was like a nice little hour out of the day, just cruising around Morrison's picking up fruit. And then, I think obviously, I think what's really made me, the process of creativity, I think, is such a fascinating one. And I get the feeling that the way we both work is very instinctual. And the problem I had was, and my friend Sam said it to me actually, he said, my other friend Sam, he said that you'll make your projects too personal. No one's going to understand them. And then there came a point when I had to say to myself, am I making work for other people to understand? Or am I making work for me to understand myself?
And what was your answer?
The second, the latter.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make to understand.
I feel really, really strongly about this actually, because my favourite art in general
happens literally every day. I don't even know what they're doing.
My favourite art in general is
I might turn the light on actually, it's a bit dark. Continue.
Is I think very clearly made for the individual's sake. Or at least not for the individual's sake, but knowing maybe the best way of describing it is whenever I was younger, and to this day I guess, my favourite art is art that I can see myself in. But that's honest, like my favourite films, my favourite music's maybe the best. Like whenever you hear a song and you know that you felt that exact same way, but they're saying it, you suddenly realise you're not alone anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Like if someone's singing, like when I realised was, do you know?
So okay. Who is it? She's a crazy woman.
It's one person.
One person making that noise?
What? It's one lady. I think she's tripping or something. Where is she? It's a lady. It's that lady there. I think she's come back from a festival and she's still fat.
She's there?
Yeah, the one with the tent. I think my theory on it is she's come back from a festival, she's really messed up, and that car alarm was making her trip out. Or she's just, I don't think she's homeless because of everything she's got looks brand new. Or relatively. She's saying, where's his soul?
That's definitely her saying that.
Yeah.
Does not sound like it. The way that she's moving doesn't imply that she's making such a
Podcasting. Great. We can leave this in.
Yeah, no, I mean, the crazy lady has interrupted us.
I'm just going to get a drink. Do you want
Yes, please, actually.
Where's your glass?
I don't know. Down there. Yeah.
But on that topic, I think the art that I connect to, it was, Radiohead, with this song called How to Dissipate Completely.
Ah, right.
Which, my interpretation of the song anyway, is that... So with How to Dissipate Completely, he's got this incredible, really heartbreaking lyric, which is, that's not me, this isn't happening.
Mm-hmm.
Which I interpreted as being, you know that thing whenever you act a certain way and then you wish you didn't and you realise that that's what people think you are?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like if you act stupid or if you get too drunk and you're aggressive. Like that's what whenever I used to drink cider and vodka, sometimes together, but those two drinks which I don't drink anymore would make me quite aggressive. And afterwards I just feel like that wasn't me. Like I can't believe I've done that, that's not me, that's not the me I think I am, I don't want other people to think that. And realising that in a song someone else wrote clearly about himself,
yeah.
I was able to connect and realise other people, and probably a lot of people also feel the same way. And that, the fact that he made art for himself, knowing that there are people like him out there, made it so much better than if he just wrote a song which is like, I'm sad, fuck yeah. Like, or, you know, every pop song about love isn't about love, it's like a synthetic fake idea of love, whereas those like fucked up, horrible, or incredibly beautiful and innocent songs written by, like, I don't know, a 16-year-old girl with a guitar, or like a 70-year-old man on the piano, or whatever. They just connect with me more, and I think I can relate to the way what they're feeling, even though they're expressing it in a way that's different to me, and their experiences are different. And so I really strongly feel if you make art for yourself, and the one thing being if you have good sensibilities, like your aesthetic, forgetting your content completely, your aesthetic is great.
Yeah.
And I feel comfortable saying I think mine is as well.
Yeah.
And then if you back that up with just honesty, you
It's powerful.
You end up being able to be hopefully accessible to some people, but being honest, and the people you access, if they like your stuff, probably felt the same way as you. And I think that's way more important than making shit for other people, or trying to, because you're not other people. So how can you definitely do something that they're gonna like?
That's what I realised. Is that I was like, I could go and make a project about, I don't know, Turkey, for example, because something's going on there. But I realised that's not me, and I don't know why I want to be doing that.
The only thing I think you could do is if you went to Turkey or met Turkish people, is if you made art about your interaction with them or with the place, but it's about yours. Like, it's subjective. Subjectivity is the only truth. Like,
yeah.
I feel anyway.
Well, it's your personal truth. It's because if you think about it, we get ideas and they come to our heads, and then we maybe stew them for a bit. Maybe we sit there and we just think about something. You know, earlier I was thinking about Riverman. Like, and you said...
How long did you think about that for?
A while. It's just come back to me now, actually. But Riverman, as an example, I was obsessed with the idea of Riverman, but he wasn't even a river. But then I just like that idea of it. So that's how ideas form. They're just a bubble. You write it down, and I write everything down, as you write everything down as well. And that obviously links very well much to your poetry as well. And I remember we actually we were both in a poetry recital that Overheard Mapping Now, didn't we?
Oh yeah.
And I did that one about the kids that circled me and tried to beat me up and stuff like that, which I did for someone called Gillian Trappen. No, yes, no, she's a famous artist. Some dude that some Dutch fellow that I knew from Holland and Amsterdam in The Hague, and that was an article, but. I realised that so much of I've always wanted to be a poet, but I just didn't really know how I did it, and every time I sat down to make a poem, it just didn't work. But every time I was on the train or if I was just on the beach and I had a thought, I'd write it down and then I'd just run with it. And that's how all the songs are written in the Kindness EP. Everything was written just because of just emptying my head, and all of them just applied rhyming couplets and thinking about how to work musically. So it's not just me reading out a poem. It's something else, and for me, I've always wanted to be a poet, but I just when I actively thought I need to be a poet now, it just didn't work. But then, obviously, when you're not thinking about it, you make poetry naturally, and that's what you're saying about the music as well. Is that it's got to feel organic, and let's say if these famous songs, these amazing songs, they didn't come from. They didn't listen to it and write it down thinking this is going to make millions. They just listened to it like, right, I'm glad it's out there. I'm glad I've made it. They've put it out there, and because of the way it's been carried out, it's perfect, bloody brilliant, and that's why it works. And for me, that's why I make work. That's why I want to make work, because I think every project you do, you need to learn from. Otherwise, what's the point?
Well, I think the other thing that's quite scary is, I mean, it's definitely very, very, very true in film. But it's a bit different because of the amount of money that's involved in film and the audience that needs to exist for the money to be recouped, etc., etc. But like, if you don't make a film based on personal experience, or if you don't write a story, writing a story is maybe a better example because it doesn't have the money implications. If you don't write a story based on personal experience, all it's based on is other people's experience.
Or your perceived experience of what you think they might be thinking.
So all it is regurgitation. Like it's just like literally everything you've taken in just being vomited out rather than being able to breathe out your own air. Like it's nothing new. Like if you make a film and say you're making good example is Perfect Harmony. I was told I had to write a romantic comedy. So I was like, alright, has to be romantic, has to be comedic. But I'm going to base it on the romance I've experienced because that's the only honest one I could base it on. And I'm going to make it comedic the way I feel comedically, which is actually just really, really sad.
Yeah.
But or tragic. And so it was a romantic comedy, and it regurgitated certain structural and stylistic formats as a screenplay before it was adapted that already exists, but I applied myself to it. Whereas if I just went romantic comedy that, as you were saying with music, that's going to be popular and jingly jangly and that people can dance to.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have written a romantic comedy which has got the, like, I don't know, the really nice best friend of the really pretty girl, but the pretty girl likes the bad boy, but the bad boy doesn't value the pretty girl, and then at the end the nice best friend gets her.
Yeah.
With the subplot about the father that's really sad and blah 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 blah. I mean, it could, like, that's in 2 seconds. If I thought about it for 3 hours, I could write like a very nice structure of a very accessible romantic comedy, and it works. Like, and it's a really incredible skill. Like something like Bridget Jones or Notting Hill is like they are masterpieces at what they're doing. Yeah, and they make me happy to watch, but it's not what I want to do.
Well, that's the thing. Also, like I remember there was it Annie Hall?
Yeah.
That was a film I watched that completely changed the way I thought about film, and I watched Slacker as well, and that again completely changed my perception of what film could be.
Yeah, Slacker really.
And then
they're
Waking
both
Life.
two of my favourites, but
Waking Life is insane. Like I watched it with Elizabeth the other day, about a month ago. It was just like we watched it, and just like whoa, like it's ordinary conversations, just like we're having now. And I think that's what I'm most inspired by, real life, because that's all we know, and that's all we've got. All we know at the moment is I'm 25. I don't know how old you are.
22.
Oh, okay. Well, wow, you've done like shitloads more than I have. So I'm behind, but we only know our point up until now, and I think that's what it is. We only know. Yeah, we only know what we know now, and that's what's exciting, because we can't predict the future and how the future's going to affect us. We can't predict our future projects because we don't know what's coming around the corner. Yeah. And because our art is made from ourselves, so therefore we will never run out of ideas. I remember being so frustrated at university because I would hear people say, "I don't know what my next project's going to be."
Oh.
It's just like, what the fuck are you doing being an artist then? You're not a fucking artist. Because at the end of the day, like, if you can't think of an idea, or if you just say, well, I can't think of an idea, then that is what the art is. Because you're being acutely aware
I agree
of it.
with that to a certain extent.
I know, I don't know if I agree with all of it. Yeah.
The one thing being, obviously, sometimes, it's not so much that you can't come up with an idea, but you're not happy with an idea. Or at least that's my experience. Everyone's different, but like my experience is, sometimes I just hate what I start doing and then end up not doing any of them for a while. And then some of them kind of like get reborn into different things. Some of them just get forgotten forever. Well, they're not forgotten forever, that's a complete lie. Like, I've got a few stories which I've tried cramming into every single big story I've ever done. Like, there's one which, I'm not going to say exactly the story because someday I want to be able to release it, but it's about twins that I really wanted to tell. Like, I think it's a really quite important story, but like there's never been a place for that film to be made so far, or it might be a film, or whatever it is.
It might be anything. It could be
anything.
It could be a drawing, or just it could be a picture in an article, or something, whatever.
But it's not forgotten, and like character traits, like a huge screenplay that I'm working on at the moment, and one of the characters is based on a note I found, and I don't remember writing it, but it's in my handwriting. It just said, well, don't want to say because I would rather people were able to enjoy that story whenever it's finished. Yeah. Like, it was just a little note. It was like 3 words, and that's formed like literally thousands of words of my writing. Based on 3 words I wrote probably as a funny idea when I was like 15. And it worked, and that's like things don't ever get. Well, some things do, but they don't. Yeah, I can't believe people say they don't have ideas.
Well, that's the
idea of being an artist's quite cool and nice, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think people do fall in love with that idea. And I think I wrote an article, actually. I don't know if it's... I'll go for it now. I'll read it. I should be freaked out that those are on the front page, but I don't know.
I like the Go Down. That one's good, but my favourite one's that one.
There's actually quite a few. I did this one androgyny because it was actually combining the two, just because I was. These and then this was the most recent one. I just felt well. This whole series has been going on for a long time, but let me try and find that image. That one. What was it? What was I talking about? I can't remember. I'm really forgetful.
So am I. I don't know.
Gosh.
What's the Lupina website?
Lupina.co.uk. That was kind of unplanned promotion. What was that? An article I was talking about. Does it matter? That's what it's called. And I want to read it out because it's an article. I don't know if people have been picking up on, or if people have read, or have an interest in reading. But it's basically this article where I'm venting my frustrations about art, but not the actual content they're making, but the world around it and the aesthetic of what an artist is. Here it is. I'll read it out if you want.
Yeah, listen.
Okay, so it's called Does It Matter? And I'll put a link to it. Basically, okay, so I'll read it out. So, why does photography have to be dumbed down to make it accessible? Why does anyone need to understand what you make? Why is that important? Why do we need to? Why do we need to do what other people think works? Why do we need to always follow a guideline? Why do we feel we need to make sure everyone knows about our work? Why does that matter to us? Why is exposure free? Why do we not get paid? Is there any money in the arts? Is the arts a career? Is freelance a success or a compromise? Is it a failure not to be working as freelance? Why didn't I do illustration? I know why. Why does there have to be an ego in photography? Why is it elitist? Why don't normal people attend exhibitions? Why is there so many people out there attending shows for free alcohol? Is there any discussion anymore? Am I out of touch with these discussions? Why are we aspiring to be known? Does it matter if I'm shortlisted? Can I enjoy my own work? Can I be the most frequent visitor to my website? Could I be the best photographer I know? Is that arrogant? Does anyone need to see it? Is it unsuccessful if no one likes it? Is it unsuccessful if no one sees it? Does it matter how many reblogs I get? Does it matter how many followers I have? Do I need to win an award to feel like a photographer? Why is it that those who shout loudest get the breaks? Usually those who shout loudest are heard first but don't really know what they're doing. The quiet ones always slip through. Is it their fault? Is it my fault? Whose fault is it? And does it even matter? Why do photographers begin to wear brogues in the second year? Why do people change the more they study? Are they finding themselves? How many people look like photographers? How many people don't? Does it matter? Does style have anything to do with the integrity of the work? Do we need to look like a photographer to be successful? Does the work need to have an impact? Does it need to change anything? Does it matter? Does photography matter? If we lost it tomorrow, would we mourn? Is it like a lover that's temporarily on fire, figuratively, and eventually dies out, again, figuratively? Why do we feel special when we're a photographer? Why are we different? How can we be different? But we are. Are we photographers or artists? Are photographers who follow digital advancements of photography and photograph flowers and HDR, meta tag their pictures with D7000 or hashtag Nikon user? Are they photographers or just dads with a lot of spare money? Are they artists? Is a wedding photographer as credible as an artist? Does it matter how much money you make to deem your success? Why do I feel special? Why do I feel unique? Why am I frustrated? Why do I feel like I've not given it a shot? Why do I now write for free while others freelance for pay? Do I need to be a freelancer to be successful? Have I failed? Why do people prefer my writing to my work? Is this a reflection on the things I make? Is it because there are less writers, consistent writers, and more photographers? Does any of it matter? Why does the art world need to be elitist? Why does it matter what the artists think? Why are people even engaging with what we're saying? Are they well researched? Are we useful as human beings? Are our artists useful? Are our thoughts even useful? Are our ideas useful? And am I well researched? Do we always need to be relevant or political? Do we need to even discuss truth? Can we discuss fiction? Can we discuss fiction through true events? Something that you talk about as well. How do you get into a position to be nominated for a major event? Can anyone under 30 make it on the shortlist? Will I ever make it? I don't think I will. Does it matter? Of course not. I don't make work for other people. I make it for myself. Does this make me selfish? I don't think so. For me, it's when I feel alive, walking the street, searching for strange places and looking for anything. It keeps me occupied. Do I need any of that stuff? Do I need fame? Do I need to be known? Does anyone need to turn up to an exhibition? Do people need to buy my prints? Do I need to have a book deal? Do I need to be published? Do I need to make 100 copies? Why can't I just make one? There's only one of me. Is anyone interested? Do my ideas matter? Maybe. It might do. And that was basically, I wrote this when I was in an exhibition, and I saw that there was so much more style over substance in so many places that I was in, and I was just frustrated, and I would pick up, my favourite line was, why do photography students wear brogues in the second year? Because in the first year, they're just, we're straight out of college, normal people. All of a sudden, second year, right, step the style game up, right, all of a sudden they look completely different. And I think they actually spend more time on what they're looking like than actually the work they're making. Because if you look at what does a photographer actually look like, they're probably going to be wearing walking shoes, a really shitty coat, and because they're interesting ideas, not style and fashion.
Did you hear the argument I had at the last house party with the guy?
No.
About what an artist looks like?
No. I fell asleep. I was knackered. Yeah.
I don't know if he was joking or not. I was really drunk. But he was American, which probably didn't help my interpretation of the event.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, don't artists in London wear black? No, don't artists identify themselves in London by wearing black? And then he said, I think artists in London identify themselves by making art.
That's a great response. Like any artist, like not just in London.
Like a photographer looks at someone with a camera, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's a really pretentious, annoying answer in a way, but like...
Well, no, yeah, if you've got a camera and you look like... Well, who's to tell you you don't know what you're doing as well? Who's to tell you that? I mean, that's the thing, that thing there. There's so many questions. It's basically made up of questions.
Does it matter?
Probably
not. It's not a no. It's definitely not a yes.
Yeah.
It's probably not.
Probably not. But we'll do it anyway.
Yeah.
And for me, like I'd never really. I mean, that's something I really enjoyed to write because it was quite liberating.
Mm-hmm.
But that was at the stage where I was really pissed off with everything. I was just like, what is this? And then I actually, I don't know if this is. I feel like I'd be talking too much, but I could do it anyway. I wanted to talk about my process of actually leaving photography. I don't know if that's useful for you as well. And my frustrations with photography as a limited medium. Let me have a look. It's called Goodbye Photography. So basically, I got really disillusioned with the actual photography world, and I looked around, and all of my friends were photographers, and I was like, this isn't really that right, because what's the use of us all being photographers if I'm not engaging with people that are from different backgrounds all the time? Mm-hmm. That's so important, and I realised that. Yeah, I mean, I'll should I read it? Is it helpful?
I don't know, on a podcast with you, it's worth reading.
No.
Like, discuss it with me.
I'll talk about it. But yes, basically, I mean, photography.
From the point of, if you go from the point of like, whenever you realise that you're all a bunch of photographers.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I realised that everyone was a photographer around me, and I realised that we weren't, although we had our own opinions, our main connection was photography, and that didn't frustrate me because I had a very unique group of friends, and I still do, that I studied with, and it's still a very close connection. But I realised that I wasn't actually getting information from anybody else, and I wasn't engaging, for example, with film. I wasn't engaging with writing. I wasn't engaging with poetry. I wasn't engaging with music. I was obsessed with the image, and in this process, I was then drawing obsessively all the time, and I'll sack photography off, and I'll say goodbye to it. It made me sad anyway, because I was just reliving old memories, and it made me really sad. And then I realised that in the process of doing illustration, I realised that has a phase as well. And then in doing this, separating myself from photography, saying goodbye to it, I actually found myself wanting to come back to it, but with a whole different way of looking at it. And it was basically from the perspective of, right, well, anything goes. I've got X amount of skill sets or tools, more like. So I've got, for example, the photo booth for myself, the self-portrait stuff I've been doing. And then I realised that I am not just a photographer anymore, as I believed I was just a photographer, and I didn't think a photographer could be an artist. But I realised that I'm not a photographer. I am heavily involved in photography and I'm passionate about photography, but I am an artist because all my ideas stem from... It's the only thing I can do. I can't do anything else. I'm useless in every other field apart from art. And I'm not saying... Huh?
I'm running.
Running, yeah. I mean, but even then I'm probably not that great, I mean, compared to a lot of people. I'm probably just like the only person that would bother trying.
It's the same as art, though, isn't it?
It's true. Yeah, it's true. Like, yeah. I mean, it was just like, it was really nice to know that you can leave something behind and know that it's not gone. All you're doing is just changing your perception of it because you're opening yourself up to new things, and that's what made it exciting for me. And all of a sudden, I then took up skating, and that was really fun. And I just started at everything. And just the past sort of 6 months, I've just done everything, and then it's led me to performance art, and it's led me to confront quite a big thing in my life, which is now going to be used as pretty much at the moment, foreseeable future, probably the next couple of years, I'll be working on this project because the gender inequality project and behavioural, because I realised that it's a huge part of my life, and it has been, and it's always been put on a shelf for a while. So I'm like, well, actually, let's just go out and explore it to its full potential, and know that everyone else knows about it, so it's okay. So I can then use it completely freely, but safely within the context of art. Which, for me, when I was just doing photography, I never thought I'd ever really get to that point. And so what I found that was quite beautiful, and I remember when I said goodbye photography to, I think I put it on Facebook, everyone was, all my friends that were photographers were like, no, you can't leave, you can't quit photography, you can't. And I just said to them, I guess I will, I'm just going to quit. But I didn't, I knew, to my head I said I'm not really going to do it again. And it's interesting, I'm less attached to photography, but I'm completely more in love with art than ever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, in fact, it's just heightened it, and then photography is coming back quite strongly, but in very different ways. I'd say, but yeah, I mean that was my perspective on that. But yeah, that was 1 hour 32. The last one was 1 hour 48.
I mean, aiming for 1 hour 48.
Could do. Yeah, we don't have to. Depends. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, unless you. I mean, I'm curious. What were your thoughts about that? I mean, what I've just said there. I mean, obviously it's quite different.
Like, it was similar to what whenever like I mentioned it earlier, like when I realised that it wasn't the film I was attracted to, but like creating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it wasn't like I didn't like. Sorry, word. I didn't like label. That's not the right word.
Mm-hmm.
The word, but I didn't like separate everything, so it wasn't like I don't feel like I have to be just a filmmaker now.
Mm-hmm.
I think realistically, well, I mean, I don't know realistically how. Like my main goal is just to be able to make a living off of making things.
Yeah.
Really,
yeah.
that's what I would like. That's like my life ambition at the moment. All of my life ambition, in the foreseeable future, my ambition.
Mm-hmm.
Needs to be able to just make a living off it. But I've never really had the same sense of having to say, no, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I can completely see how with you it helped. Because with me, the same thing happened, but without the no. It just suddenly for 3 months, like I just shot Colours in the Kids short film.
Mm-hmm.
I had to write my dissertation, which was a 60-page screenplay and a 10, 12, between 10 and 15 page,
Mm-hmm.
like other stuff, along with the screenplay. And I was doing light art
Mm-hmm.
for 3 months.
Uh-huh.
And the light art's it's not what I enjoyed the most at all, actually. I just
But-
enjoyed all of it so much and didn't think about the fact that the light art wasn't filmed because I was using a camera.
Mm-hmm.
And all I like the way that I make a film or when I write something, I'm just trying to create a moment. Try
Mhm.
to create a moment and try to capture it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then put it into a context where it can make sense or be pleasurable for an audience.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I was trying to do whenever I was making the light art. And then afterwards, I realised that I wasn't making films at all when I was doing that. Like, that wasn't filmmaking, but it wasn't. And then that realisation. So imagine for you if, I mean, it's not really the same, but yeah, I just kind of realised that I like doing more than just film, and that excited the filmmaker in me, as well as making me excited for other things too, rather than categorising myself as being just a photographer, or just being a filmmaker, or just being a whatever. Man, I'm distracted by the fact I can't remember that word. Still.
So yeah, I think it's mainly just that idea of. I mean, creativity is just what it is. It comes in a huge amount of forms, but I think the education system makes us believe, and the way it's structured makes us believe that you have to follow a set structure. So if we study photography, if we study film, then you have to do film. If you think actually artists, I don't know. I think artists I don't know, just Marcel Duchamp, for example. He maybe when he was studying, yeah, he did have like a kind of a process, but then the second you leave that environment of education, you're not answering to anybody, and you just no one's waiting for your next piece. No one's waiting.
Yeah.
Maybe your friends are waiting, curious about what you're going to do next, but no one's saying you need this project done by. If it's a personal project, I'm saying here, you need this done by September 1st, for example. No one needs to tell. No one needs to know that, and that's the key almost for you to just basically say, well, I'm going to make whatever I want, because if no one looks at it, it doesn't matter, because I can look at it and go, brilliant, that's really interesting, and then you can archive it, store it, so then let's say one day someone might look at it and go, that was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and they want to put it in a gallery space, and all of a sudden that's got a new purpose, but that wasn't why it was made. It's that you can make work to be acknowledged, or you can make work to fulfill yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a bit different with photography, to be honest. Just because, so for example, every film I've made since I was like 16 has got other people in it, so I feel responsible towards them, for them to be able to see it.
Yeah, of course.
It's got music, so I feel responsible towards musicians. It's got a crew, so I feel responsible towards the crew. And so there's a level of, whenever a film's made, I feel like I have to share it a bit. But it's really small. Like I basically stick it on Vimeo, screen it in a few places. The next one, hopefully, I want to screen a lot more than anything else that I've done. But I know exactly what you mean.
I think they're different contexts, aren't they?
They are different contexts. But I'm sorry, I'm still just so distracted about this word.
While you're thinking of that, there's something I was thinking about, was that now, the work I'm making now about the gender inequality and also lines of masculinity, I can't have the discussion with myself because I know what my answer is and I understand. But so basically what it is the work I'm making now is relying on people to be involved and to receive it. So for example, when I went out on the Saturday, that was a social experiment, and I needed, because there's no point me just not bumping into anybody, because actually then there's no.
As well have been at home.
Yeah, it hasn't achieved what it's meant to achieve.
Yeah.
Then I realised that I now need to start planning much more methodically and thinking about how my actions are actually creating an overall impact that's going to make an impact for change. And that's where the idea of art as activism comes from.
Yeah.
And then now, if I think back to when I was doing photography and I was shooting Nothing's Happening about pineapples and quiet moments, I realised how almost empty that was. And I realise now, this whole process, I feel like I've been struggling. No one's been.
But I'm not sure. This is where I don't agree, because I wouldn't have. Whenever you came, Sophie had bigged you up because she loved your photography, and I looked at your website and I looked at your drawings with just like funny things written underneath it, and all this stuff which you'd just done for yourself, and meant nothing, but what you were saying about being empty, which I don't agree with. I think it was really vibrant in a different way to what you're doing now. Meant that I didn't know you the way that I don't know Radiohead, because they're it's a good parallel just because they're so huge and you and I aren't huge. Like, I didn't know you, but I already did. Before I met you, I looked at your photographs and I was like, yeah, he looks at the world in a way that's similar to me. He's got a sense of humour that I like. He sees the loneliness in this. He sees the togetherness in this. That's the way he looks at things. I don't look at it that way, but I love the way that he looks at it. Like, immediately. That's why we got along so well and spoke about stuff so deeply from literally within 5-10 minutes.
Because we got rid of all that boring stuff before.
And and the only thing that makes that different is because we met. But Radiohead, I don't know them because of their status. I'm never going to know them, never going to be friends with them. But I'm connected to them. They've made things knowing that they're going to connect to people. Yeah. And as an artist, if you make something for yourself, which is what I was saying earlier, if you make something for yourself with the knowledge that other people are like you, which you and there are lots of people like you and me. Yeah. Then it means that it will connect. And so I don't think it's empty. I think it's not necessarily activism. Well, it's not activism in the same sense at all, but it helps togetherness. Yeah. If someone makes something that shows that they're lonely, and someone it's like that thing The Rock was saying in that, like, the only thing I can say to help someone that's depressed is you're not first and you're not the last, and you feel lonely but you're not. He's not saying don't be depressed, fuck off, because it's a stupid thing to say to someone that's depressed. But if you can just say other people have felt like you and other people will feel like you, it's okay. Like, it's all okay. That is normal. Hugely powerful. Like, hugely powerful. Like, with the cross-dressing, if someone's like, not even it's okay in the same nurturing way as depression, if they're like, mate, it's okay, like, what the fuck, it doesn't matter. You enjoy it. Cool. I enjoy, like, I don't know, like, whatever I do, that, like, I enjoy sitting playing Xbox. Like, if you can make people feel okay, I think that is activism. It doesn't necessarily help a specific cause in the same way, but I think making that type of art helps hugely with a lot of stuff. That's why we've got like Flickr and Tumblr communities, and that's why we've got, poetry in history and literature being released in magazines over months, and like music and waves of music and like punk or jazz or like anything is just, it's about togetherness. Like, in the end, if you take away the dance, well, no, not even taking away the dancing. Dancing is a stupid thing to do, and that's why it's so beautiful, because you're fucking moving your body to a sound that makes no sense but makes you feel something. And then you get to do that with other people, and not only that, you don't. It's not only that you get to dance and someone else is dancing too. You get to dance with them, like, and that. I just think if, like, don't know Nan Golden. I don't know the top. Well, I do know. Unfortunately, know some of the topics that she deals with, first hand and second hand. But I don't know her. But I'm connected to her, and she is now a part of my subconscious story. Like, she's influenced the way that I look at the world a little bit, and that's hugely powerful. So I don't think making art on your own for yourself is bad. Not bad, is not productive. Because if no one else sees it, you made it, and that's powerful. And if other people see it and connect with it, that's hugely powerful too. So I don't think I agree with there being an emptiness in your earlier work, because that's what really impressed me, to be honest, and why before I knew you, I already did know you. Like,
well, I mean, that goes back to a point I made very early on, and is that I'm obsessed with everyone knowing everything about me. So that means that when people meet me, and if they Google my name, they can, if they spend enough time on my website, if they spend enough time on cruising through my articles, reading discussions, listening to podcasts, they will know everything about me. and therefore I'm invincible. Because technically, exactly what my dad was really worried about, and how it would reflect him, and whether people would use it against him. It's almost like an antidote to that, and actually saying, well, actually, no, this is what I enjoy doing, this is what I do, and I'm okay with it.
Did I ever tell you about when my dad got angry when I had a picture of me in a dress on Facebook? He was just like, you should be ashamed. Well, no, he didn't say you should be ashamed, but I shouldn't do that. He said that he didn't say I should be ashamed, he said, in the future I will be ashamed of that.
Yeah. It's just bizarre, isn't it?
To which and he's like, what do you think people will think? And I just said, I think people will think that I've worn a dress.
Yeah.
Like that's what they think is that I'm wearing a dress. Anyone that thinks more than that is a fucking idiot.
Yeah, that's all it is.
And I didn't say exactly that to him, but like that's like what more. Like I don't want a boss that would think less of someone who would be anything. Like,
yeah. Or
imagine if it was like a much bigger thing. Like imagine if a boss wouldn't hire someone because they had I don't know what's like a safe and comfortable thing to bring up as a parallel. Depression maybe.
Yeah.
Imagine if someone didn't hire someone because they were depressed.
Because they would be worried about their.
I suppose that's not willful and pleasurable. I suppose it's not willful. Anything's not willful and pleasurable all the time.
I do know what you mean. I know what you mean, though. I mean, it's like discrimination from a very early thing. It's like if I had a child, for example, when I do have a child, if they said to me, "I want to do this," because let's say when I was younger, I was a tap dancer, and I left because I didn't want to. I was the only bloke in the class, and I was just like, "It's a bit weird. I'm like 13. I should probably go and do something else. I play football." So I guess I've always been slightly different.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah. I'm really good
with my... awesome.
I was good with my feet, but I didn't know what to do at my top end. I was just like... it was so...
She was like looking around, a bit bored, but your feet are like...
I saw Michael Flatley, and I was just like, mate, I want to be Michael Flatley. Feet of flames, mate. That was it. But I realised my personality is made up of that, and that's what I'm realising now, is that through all of this self-exploration, I've been obsessively working on all of this stuff. It's been the most important thing in my life, obviously, by my friends, obviously, my family. But I'm obsessed with understanding myself so that I can then go into the world knowing that I can just say, this is what I'm doing, and do anything that I want to do. And I can feel invincible, not because I am physically invincible, but because no one would ever want to hurt me, because I realised that they would look at, even if they wanted to hurt me, I'd have a conversation with them, and they would realise that there's nothing to hurt, because I don't live in fear. I used to live in loads of fear, but now I don't live in any fear. And that's what I was saying earlier when I was crossing the road. Something big is happening right now, but with me, it's big, and it's exciting, and I feel like, I don't know, I'm nervous, but at the same time, I'm pushing the boundaries of what I'm capable of. And that, for me, that's so exciting for me. And that's the most exciting thing that I could ever do. And that's all I will ever do now. I'm just going to keep on. If there's an idea, even if it's weird, I'll do it anyway. I'll try anything. Why not? Because at the end of the day, it just shows a confidence in you as a person to know that this won't affect or change my life. It's just something I'm trying. I mean, that may be a nice place to end, actually, because I get the feeling we've discussed quite a lot.
Yeah. We're on 148.
Oh, let's have a look. Are we on 148? Let's have a look.
Oh my god! Yes!
148!
Right, we've got to finish in the next 30 seconds.
Okay, so this is the second Lafina podcast. I'm really happy that you could join us on this thing. I'm glad that we could have joined together on what was quite unexpected. And I'm really happy that we managed to do this. 1 minute 48, cruising into 1 minute 49. And thank you for listening. Please leave comments, do what you want, it's fine. This has been Sam, he's brilliant. Follow his work, we'll put links there. And yeah, I've got a lot of time for this man. Sick. Nice one. Alright, see you later on. Take care.
That was amazing. 148.